Can we talk about Biden's ad too, by the way? So he came out with an ad. He's got a new ad. It's his first ad of 2024. And I just don't think this is it. I just really don't. It's just not it's not a good ad. He wants, well, this is his ad. Let's just start it because he's making it's like, just watch it and then we'll talk. Just Juan's going to play it. Go ahead. I'm getting ahead of myself.
There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching. Most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of this administration. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
So he wants to make J6 his big thing. And then he's acting like, oh my gosh, this is the future of all voting is happen. It's all on you. Well, yeah, it kind of is. So he has some speeches. Now he's got this ad focusing on still. This was after the ad that he did trying to push Bidenomics, by the way. So it's his doom and gloom campaign. That's old. I mean, really think about it. That's what it is. Doom and gloom. His campaign is going to be all entirely doom and gloom. It's going to be about be terrified of people who don't vote like you. Be terrified of them. They're all J6ers. That's entirely what he's doing. That's his whole pitch. You're going to see this hate and fear. That is his campaign. Hate and fear in 2024. They've already told you that's what they're going for right here. You're not pushing democracy. You're not advocating for democracy. You're fear mongering, and you're trying to get your voters. I mean, I really don't think that you need to rile your voters up anymore. We just saw what happened at that school in Iowa, right? We saw what happened in Nashville, right? I really don't think that you need to rile your voters up anymore. Anybody who criticized Biden's criticizing democracy. Anybody who tries to hold his family accountable. I mean, have you heard about some of the other stuff? Like, for instance, the Hunter Biden family, they prove that he's been using all his actual bank accounts, taking money out of his work accounts, his working accounts, and using that on the hookers and blow and everything else. Yeah. Oh, and he's got a documentary crew following him around. That's a whole other joke for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm making a note of myself. I'm not going to get to it. It's not going to happen. It'll take up this whole segment. But this is Biden's pitch. It's going to be everybody who isn't a Democrat is a fascist. And it's all doom and gloom. Everything is doom and gloom. That's his whole thing. It's the doom and gloom. I just don't think that is, how is that going to, how does that resonate with voters? Aren't voters tired of it? Voters are looking for a way out, and his campaign doesn't give them one. He's going to go to, now listen to this. So this is, I'm pulling up some emails, bear with me. So he's hitting the campaign trail. This is AP. He's officially now campaigning. And he's going. This is the Associated Press headline. Ready? Biden's kicking off 2024 by delving into some of the country's darkest moments. This is how they're starting this. It's why I wasn't far off with the doom and gloom. So he's going to try to evoke the Revolutionary War to mark J6, which is, we're 2 days away. And then he's going to go to South Carolina, the church, right? He's going to go visit the church where you had black parishioners who were murdered. And by the way, remember that church, and the reason why that murder was allowed to happen is because the FBI under James Comey, they came out and they admitted that they had made a paperwork error. That dude was a prohibited possessor and should have never been legally allowed to buy the firearm that he used to carry out the murder. but he was allowed to because human error, someone messed something up from what county he was from, etc. He was already charged with a felony, and in that state you have to be charged with a felony to be deprived of your natural rights. And they messed up, and there was a paperwork error. They actually have the statement that's still available online. You can look it up. I've written about it. I have it linked on various places. But James Comey actually authored the letter when he was still head of FBI. He was the one who came out and authored the letter. So, but they try to say that it's because you, an innocent person owning your firearm. So he's going to tie that into it. So he's going to, and then he's going to go to Valley Forge. That's where Washington Continental Army, they wintered. He is again going to talk about the rioting, blah blah blah. So he's going to focus. It's like it reminds me of this book that came out. It was written by the chick who voiced the daughter in The Incredibles, and it was called Assassination Vacation. And it was this book that she wrote about going to these morbid places in the U.S. to like a historical, history-driven vacation. And it very much reminds me of what Biden's doing here. But what Biden's doing here reminds me of that. So he is focusing on what they describe as compelling threats to our democracies. And he wants to use the past as the way to frame their characterization of current events, as a way to scare the hell out of you into voting for him. That's how they're doing it. I just don't think that that's going to work with people. I just don't think that's going to work. Do you think, Kane, that's going to work with people?
I don't think so.
I mean, things, though, are so divided, though. Are they more divided now than they ever have been? I think that's like the big question.
Fair to say, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it would work. I don't know. How do you counter that? Well, the way you counter it is with hope and solution. The way you counter it is not with pettiness or backbiting or any of that. You have to counter it with hope and providing solutions. So that's the way that you're not going to convince. Everything is about the independence, and you're not going to be able. I think you have to go above and beyond merely saying that this guy's bad for democracy, so you got to vote for me. You got to give a solution as to why. What I don't know. We're going to talk to Ron DeSantis about this coming up. Because I'm curious, how do you counter this? Now that Biden's officially kicking this off this week, how do you counter this messaging? I'm just, And they're also trying to say, here's the other thing, listen to this. One of the other things that they're wanting to do, according to senior campaign officials, is compare how George Washington peacefully and voluntarily stepped down from power. And they're going to contrast that with what Trump's doing. That's what the senior campaign officials are doing. Yeah. It's not just about policy difference. I do agree that it's about the fate of the country. Actually, this is where I do agree. That it is about the fate of the country, because think of everything that is on the line right now. Even if you want to reject any kind of overture with foreign policy, just look domestically with the border, with gun control, with taxation, everything. We're about to lose the power of the purse. It's troubling, very troubling. So this is why I think 2024, you can't make it about people. It has to be about policies. And you have to put the country first, ahead of any interest of any politician who would have you convinced otherwise.